This is Community Mercenaries. If you haven't seen this series before, feel free to watch the previous episodes in the playlist on the channel. The idea of this series is to take your mercenary tank ideas and make them come to life in the garage and discuss them a little bit. So if you like what you see and you have your own ideas you'd like to see showcased in one of these, leave them down below or in the Discord. Without further ado, let's get into episode 13. Starting this group off, we have the Crawler. Made by 1515 in the Discord, this is a tier 8 or 9 heavy tank made up of the chassis of the VK101P with the turret of the Type 4 Heavy and the 130mm gun off of the 50TP. This tank kinda just speaks for itself. It's a super heavy for sure. Would it be the best super heavy? I would have to say no. Its gun is a nice in-between of the guns usable on the super heavies that the other components come from. The Mouse line loves their 490 Alpha 12/8s, and the Type line does have a 600 Alpha 14cm to use on the Type 4. But this 130mm comes right in between with its 560 Alpha. So it's unique in that regard, which I like. It upgrades the Alpha of the German super heavies, but sacrifices turret armor to do so by taking the Type 4's big and flat turret. It's not a tank that's going to knock your socks off, but it would be a nice addition to the super heavy lineup in the game, and slightly mix things up with its capabilities. Something that's just enough to make it feel subtly different from the other tanks it's made up of. Next in the group, we have another heavy tank, this time a tier 10. The Freight Train was made by Nucleus in a YouTube comment. They wanted a Waffles chassis, which is just the E100, so I used that one instead, with the turret of the IS-7 and the gun of the E75. This one's a bit of a weird one as the gun choice really doesn't make a difference. The E100, IS-7, and E75 all share 490 Alpha on their guns, and the E75 has the slowest reload of all three. So this combination could have used either gun. But I presume the reason it gets the slower reload is because of the power the IS-7 turret would bring to this kind of tank. The E100, yeah, can use its 490 Alpha gun with a quicker reload than the E75. But it's got quite a big, flat, vulnerable turret. So giving it the near impenetrable IS-7 turret while being able to use the same gun would just render the E100 useless. That, I believe, is why the E75 gun was used, to give it worse DPM than the E100, but at the benefit of a better turret. Is that enough of a downside to give it a strong turret? Definitely not. It does lose a degree of gun depression too at 6 rather than 7, and I would presume it would have less HP than the E100, but only by like 200 to 250 less HP. Maybe its turret traverse is abominable as well, but I don't know. It definitely is an interesting tank to think about, and one that would be strong for sure, but could render the E100 more useless than some might think it already is now. Last in the group, we have my favorite purely by looks. The 1337 was suggested in a YouTube comment by the titular 1337. It takes the chassis of the Chieftain Mark 6 with the turret of the Rhinoceronte and the gun of the STB-1. Honestly, it sounds pretty bad. For a heavy tank. Who knows, maybe this could be a strong medium tank. It would be at its best hold down, but in this meta and with that turret, it's not the strongest hold down tank in the world. I don't know if it would get the auto reloader capability of the Rhino because of its turret use, but knowing how much Wargaming hates auto reloaders, keeping this thing as a single shot would probably be the best course of action to make it more playable. Taking the speed of the Chieftain isn't too bad at 46 km an hour forward, but the 390 base view range of the Rhino would be lacking. I was torn whether to label it a heavy or a medium, and there are mediums with the Chieftain's chassis already, so it's not too far-fetched, but I think a medium is what it would be. Slightly armored, but lacking the V-range of other mediums. Maybe it would fit right in. All I know is I would definitely want it in my garage for the sake of vanity, but maybe it would become one of my favorite tanks to play. That's it for this group of community mercenary tanks. As always, if you have your own ideas you'd like to see made, then leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.